Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call the meeting of August for the Support Services Committee to order. Welcome to the last week of summer, at least as far as the kids are concerned. And first up, I saw Carla passing out. Who is passing out? You were passing out, but IT is going to be first. All right. Mike, you're on, please.
Morning. First resolution is a request to rescind the previous...
Pardon me.
Oh.
I've been reminded we need a motion to accept last month's meeting minutes. Motion made by Supervisor Driscoll, second by Supervisor Leggett. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, thank you, Supervisor Leggett. Michael?
First resolution is to rescind a previous resolution. We were putting together an agreement to get some maintenance on some equipment. I went about it the wrong way, and as under New York State contracts, the agreement wasn't necessary. So we need to rescind the resolution that we previously approved.
So moved.
A motion made by Supervisor Leggett, second by Supervisor Wild. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Second resolution is to transfer money to real property from the computer reserve fund for an anticipated computer purchase of $700.
Motion made by Supervisor Leggett, second by Supervisor Sokol. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Under old business, there was some discussion in the past about our phone maintenance and having a backup vendor because we had changed how we were doing things. And finding a single vendor to do both support and hardware didn't really pan out. However, there's a vendor that we use for consulting services that's able to do a backup for the consulting portion of it. And then I found another vendor that can supply hardware on New York State contract to accommodate that second level of support. So without needing any resolutions or agreements in place, we have everything in place for that second level.
Discussion on that issue? Okay.
And then there was a last minute thing that's not on the agenda, and I apologize for doing last minute things. So I just thought I'd throw it out there to see what everybody's feeling is. Right now in IT, things are just super busy, and I keep thinking once we get to this point, this is going to be good, but it's just not ending. So right now I find ourselves with a pile of equipment we've got to get installed with some deadline dates, and hoping we could get a temporary part-time person to help us get caught up. Our forecasted salary shows that we have an extra $9,000 in the budget for the year, so I was hoping to take $3,000 to transfer to use for a part-time person to help us get caught up right now. If we don't do it, we're going to get caught up eventually somehow through overtime or just put in the extra time that's needed, but it'd be much easier if we could get somebody to help us get caught up with this pile of hardware we have.
Is there a motion? Do you need a motion for this, Mike?
I guess I'm asking opinions before I do it first. I'm not sure if it's appropriate or
Start
not.
with Supervisor Driscoll.
Is that a temporary position or?
Yeah, temporary.
Okay. With, how does it benefit work for a temporary position?
I don't believe there is.
Okay.
It's just a straight hourly rate.
Okay.
So we took the position, our entry-level position now, divided it by 2,080, come up with an hourly rate that's equivalent.
Supervisor McDermott.
Yeah, I would support Michael's efforts. He's always been very thrifty in my experience with spending his department's money in the county nickel. So he says it's needed. I believe it is.
Supervisor Sokol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can this be obtained through like an intern or something like that? Have you looked into that?
We've had interns throughout the year, and we did a bunch of stuff with interns. Right now, nobody's applied for any internships. Maybe beginning of the school year, they really don't have them. It's usually in the spring semesters where we get a lot of those people there. I guess because my thought was if we can get a temporary part-time person, I would call the college to see who they have.
That was my thought.
And maybe we could do both, see if they have anybody looking for an internship, and then perhaps then use that as a second route if they don't have any interns ready to go.
Any other discussion on this particular issue? I think we should have a motion to hire this temporary position, to fill this temporary position.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
I believe it has to be moved on to personnel.
Excuse me?
I believe it has to be moved on to personnel.
So,
I'll make a motion to move this to
here,
personnel.
okay. Second on that motion. Second by Supervisor Hogan. Any further discussion?
Mike, do you have a title, hourly rate, and an end date for the position?
Yes. The Title is Computer Help Desk Technician Temp at $21.15 an hour, up to $3,000, not to exceed $3,000 total for 3 months.
Ending the end of this year?
Yes.
Can I make a motion to volunteer your time?
No, get paid more than I do.
Personnel meeting Thursday, so we'll talk about be acted on.
Anything else, Ryan?
Okay.
I was just, Mike, I was just reminded by Amanda that we need to include in this motion that you'll have to transfer funds to cover this. Is that correct, Amanda? So we'll make that as part of the motion. Can I add that to the motion? Who made the original motion?
I did, and yes, you may.
You may. And Supervisor Hogan, do you agree with that change, that we will transfer funds within...
Doesn't that happen in finance, though? Does that
Well,
happen
it's
there?
part of our motion.
We're recommending it to finance.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That's all I got.
Anything else?
Appreciate your support. Thank you.
Yes, Supervisor
Mr.
Wild.
Chairman, I just have a question for Mike. Mike, in the news, we hear a lot about, computer hacks and viruses and stuff like that. How are we? Are we in good shape? What do we need to do? Do we need to do anything more? Do you have the right resources and the right support from the feds, the state government, things like that?
Yeah, there's a lot of resources out there. Kind of more of it's been after the fact support, but I know at the state level they're doing a bunch of stuff right now to help. They're getting it in place to come help you do evaluations, make sure instead of just a response to do it ahead of time. Right now we keep current on all of our subscriptions to keep it as best we can and checking backups and such. But yeah, the state's really focusing on how to make sure you're there now instead of just a reactive, which is what it has been. But that's being built right now through the state.
So just to follow up, has there been any instance that we've been hacked into or attempts? There's probably always attempts, but if anybody's been
Nothing
successful the
recently. I can
last
tell you
year?
over the years, there's been a couple times where we had the ransomware, where some files get encrypted and they're gone. And on one hand, it's bad it happened, but it was a trial by fire how well our backups are, our permissions are set, so the damage was very defined to where the person should be. So we found that we didn't have any open access, and we found that our backups were all working and brought it all back. So we recovered very well. And probably that was over a couple of years ago since that's happened. And so right now the focus has really been to make sure we have the right hardware, we have like different levels, and making sure those subscriptions are always up to date, because it's just a constantly changing thing every day.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Supervisor Leggett.
Are there particular standards that we need to live up to for our malware, spyware, ransomware, viruses, etc.?
I think just having something current is for a standard. We use products that are well known and have good reputations, and don't use one product. It's a tiered kind of response coming through, because I think each product has like a strong point, and there's somebody else is stronger. So we have like a firewall, and they're strong at doing certain things coming through, and like email comes through there, it gets checked, and it goes to another device to get checked before it gets to our server where it's checked, and then it hits your PC and it gets checked again. But they're all different companies with their different strengths, so hopefully we've hit it as much as we can hit it before it gets there.
Because we're responsible for protecting people's privacy on a lot of things, so we're good at that.
Yep, as best we can be. I mean, I'm never going to tell you we're 100% because it's impossible. But I think we hit it as many levels as we can, and just keeping current. And
Thank you.
Further discussion or questions? Anyone from the public or IT? Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Now, Carla, it's our auditor's turn.
Good morning.
Welcome.
The first thing that I have on my agenda is I'm asking for $500 from the contingent fund for my supplies line. And the reason that I'm short in this year is because after budget time last year, I became a member of an agency that I went to a conference for to get myself some more training, which we hadn't ever done in the past. So I paid $160 to the Institute of Internal Auditors for my membership and $360 for a conference fee. So I had moved that out of supplies at the time that I went to the conference earlier in the year, hoping that I wouldn't fall short, but I did. So I need money to cover what I had taken out for education funds earlier from my supply line.
Okay, we need a motion for
Motion.
that. Motion by Supervisor Wild. Second, please. Supervisor Leggett, discussion. I will add that anytime you have an opportunity for you or your staff to further their education and training for the benefit of the taxpayers of Warren County, please request it.
Thank you. And I did put that in my budget for this year, so hopefully I won't have to.
Great. All in
And-
favor? Oh, go ahead.
Nope, that was all I had on that.
No further discussion. All in favor of the
Aye.
motion?
Okay.
Right.
Opposed? Carried.
The second part of my agenda is just a kind of an overview of what my office actually does. Supervisor Loeb had asked me to do this a while ago, and we've kind of hit a slower point in the season. So I'm coming to kind of give you an overview of what goes on in our office. I know for a long time we kind of flew under the radar and nobody knew where we were and what we did. But what happens basically is most of the payments that come through Warren County and get paid out to various vendors through our accounts payable system come through our office first. It's a two-person office. I had recently, within the last couple of years, made my clerk full-time so that everything in our office gets scanned and kind of brought up to date with how the world is these days. So we look at every invoice that comes through, we check it, we spot check bids. It's up to the individual departments who work very well with us to look at it first and to use their expertise to get things to us correctly. We spot check bids, we check contracts, we read the contracts, we read the bids as they come in. We look at the resolutions as they come in before the board meetings. Everything's online, which our county does a great job of getting everybody access so we can see what we need to see to make sure that things are available to us, to make sure that they're done correctly. Once we go through everything, we do it bi-monthly. So every couple weeks, everybody in the entire county ships their stuff to us. We look through it all during a week's period. I put my approval on it. It then goes to the treasurer's office, who does another look through of just the reporting documents, the reports that get printed from the program that we use. The following week, the checks are cut by the treasurer's office and mailed out to the various vendors. So it's kind of a lot of paperwork that comes into our office, but I think we do a very good job. I have a wonderful clerk that is amazing. If you ever want to stop in, feel free to stop in and visit us. We're kind of hidden down by DMV in the county clerk's office, but you're always available to stop in and say hello.
Supervisor Wild.
Mr. Chairman, thanks. My question is more for our county administrator, who has more experience in different county governments. Ryan, do you believe that an audit staff of 2 is adequate for a $153 million county operation?
I can tell you Saratoga County's all funds budget when I was there was a little north of $300 million. They had their auditor's office, in addition to the county auditor, they had, I want to say, four staff, some of which was part-time. Westchester County was a total different setup. Everything went through a finance commissioner, and off the record, I know we're on the record, but off the record, I didn't think it was as good a system as Saratoga and Warren have. It's certainly comforting to me to know that there's eyes on every payment that gets made, and I think that this office does a great job. And if Carla, in her capacity as a department head, came to me with a request for additional people, I would certainly take that under consideration.
Supervisor Leggett.
Carla, on your report here, number of invoices last year was over 24,000, so that comes out to more than 100 a day. goes through your office?
And some of those are $2 nuts and bolts, so it's not as in-depth. It's a good mixture. Some invoices are for capital projects that take a long time to look through. I will say that we rely a lot on the expertise of the various departments. I work very well with the county attorney's office, the purchasing department. Anytime we have questions, because we're not the experts in what these things are. So we rely on the departments to help us with that, and it's really a good process. For the most part, we get a lot of support, especially from the county attorney's office. We deal with them a lot.
And contracts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thanks again. I remember last year, earlier this year, there were discussions about our ability to manage contracts, and sometimes there were some contracts that weren't, all the terms and conditions weren't being followed. So I'm wondering if you actually go in and audit some of those contracts on a percentage basis or something like that to ensure that all the different elements of a contract are being satisfied.
We have, and actually prior to some of those discussions that had happened in committee, and part from the conferences that I've gone to and some of the training that I've found online for myself, we had started that process of looking in depth on all these contracts and making sure that each thing was in place prior to the payments being made. That the contract was there, the contract was correct, the terms are being met. And some of that is up to the departments, the reporting that I may not understand, the capital projects especially. So I have a good relationship with Kevin in DPW and his accounting people, and so we have delved a lot deeper into contracts within the last year and a half.
So, just to follow up, if you don't mind, have we found contracts that we've been remiss in terms of
We've
managing?
found some.
And what do we do what's the process then? If you can just briefly describe that.
I
for me.
work with the county attorney's office very closely and the department heads to make sure that they're in play, and we've held payments to certain vendors that have not had the correct items in place. And for the most part, it has not been a severe issue getting what we needed to make the payment, because they want to be paid just as much as we want them to follow what the contract says.
Carl, I have a question. Are there ever any times where, with all the departments, you have departments who aren't following processes, and you recognize that in doing your audits?
We have. And for the most part, we make them aware, and they comply. So it's not, and if they don't comply, it doesn't get paid. So it's
Okay.
it's happened, but I think we have a good group of people that want to make it right. So things get fixed and processes get corrected or updated.
So if I may, one more follow-up, Mr.
let's
Chairman.
see. Treasurer, first?
Yeah, I just want to say, since Carla's come on board, she takes her job very seriously and has really stepped it up. We noticed in the treasurer's office over the last few years, there's a lot more oversight over what's going through now than there ever has been. Carla and I have had this talk before. She is really doing a good job.
Supervisor Wild.
Thank you. And Carl, again, one other follow-up. You mentioned that we look at everything going out, our payments. What about coming in?
My office does not do anything with accounts receivable.
That's you?
That's me.
I'll wait till the next meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're quite welcome to that. Good discussion. Thanks for the explanation. Any other questions or comments for Carla in the auditor's office? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carla.
And our last department is the Board of Elections. Welcome, Bill and Beth. Bill. Good. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had another attorney that from
Tony. And the music,
Morning.
All right.
Morning. Hopefully we can make this question fast and get over. We apologize for the lateness, but we didn't get notice. This is in reference to Dominion coming in to do some work on our voting machines. Beth and I didn't receive notice that they were going to be in the area until the 14th of August.
Excuse me, Bill. Perhaps you should step back and tell people who Dominion are and what the normal process is.
Dominion is our voting machines that we purchased back in 2008, 2009, put into service. They've been into service that long. Since then, we had a 5-year warranty, and I'm going back, and Beth, please, if I overspeak, correct me, you were there a little longer than I was, but there was a 5-year warranty that came with the purchase of the machines when they were originally bought. But there was an extended warranty that you could buy to the tune of $23,945 a year.
Per year.
For these machines. And the county at that time opted not to do this warranty, which actually ended up being a good thing. Our techs that we have learned a lot about these machines and have done all the warranty and all the work on these machines up to date. Last year, Beth and I noticed that we were getting a lot of machines that were having problems, that were spitting ballots out, that were wrinkling ballots, and we knew there had to be a problem somewhere. It was something our techs weren't finding. At that time, we had our techs do some different work on them and stuff, and just on August 14th, now getting back up to where I was, August 14th, we received a notice from Dominion. Dominion, under state contract, is required by law to maintain these machines, to replace any frugal parts, anything, because if it comes down that something happens under the HAVA rule, they have to testify in court that it was their machine, it was their equipment, their techs put the crucial frugal parts in this machine. So they basically have a monopoly on this machine and the repairs on the frugal parts of this machine. We can do the battery replacements and stuff like this, minor stuff we can do. So on the 14th of August, we got an email, Beth and I did, from them, that they were going to be in the area on the week of August 20th, and that they could come in and take a look at any machines we had. As the federal primary came around, we had some major problems, especially in Warrensburg. We had one machine that shut right down on us and everything. And we looked at them and we said, you know what, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea. We were under the impression at the time that it wasn't a contract, that it was a one-time visit that they were going to make to us. We were going to pay them their hourly rate, take it out of the money that we already had in the budget, and just go ahead and have them fix the machines. After getting into it a little farther and talking to a few other department heads in the legal department, we find out that we're entering into a contract. So we had to have a contract from them. That's what brings us here today, is because they did, after we spoke with Chairman Loeb, we spoke with the county administrator, we had spoken with the county attorney. We really didn't want to miss this opportunity of having them here last week because it saved us travel. We didn't have to put them up in a room, which we normally have to do under their contract. So they were going to be in the Tri-County area. They were going to run through. They were going to hit us at and their rate is $300 an hour. And we told them what problems we had, and they figured they could do it within 3.5 hours. So the fee came out to $1,050, not parts included. Okay, that was just their service and their tax being here and stuff. After speaking to the administrator, the chairman, and the attorney's office, they said, okay, we can see that, but you're going to have to come to the committee and explain to them why you did it and how it got done. They did come in. They did a fantastic job. We had our techs come in that day as well, so they gained a little more knowledge, so a little less that we have to go to them for. One of the things, and I'll pass this around quick, this is called Mylar. And that stripe across the center of that Mylar is supposed to be clear. That's what reads the ballots as they go in. And over the years, you can see what it's done to that Mylar. It collects all the stuff off of the ballots so that they'll read them clearly. That's only one of about 7 that they changed out the other day. And that is not something our techs even want to tackle. So talking with the county attorney, in the future, if I can get out of here, I don't want to hold you up. In the future, there will be an hourly rate contract with the county attorney and the administrator. And they're reviewing at this time. Hopefully we can come to the nitty-gritty, and if we need them, we'll have them at an hourly rate.
basically, that's, I spoke quickly because we only had 10 minutes, and I wanted to make sure I got everything in. But basically, that was the nut in its shell right there, and what we had to do and why it was done with such expedience.
And these are our BMDs, which by law we have to have in each of our polling places. So we have consolidated over the years and sent out less machines, and that's also another reason that the prior commissioners didn't take that warranty on there, because we are able to have some spare machines to change out scanners and such. But the BMDs, it's an important part of and they are the oldest of our group. So we took advantage of them coming to the area to have a fine tune-up on these machines.
So basically, what we're asking here today is that we need to take out of our 400 code, 439 code, which is a miscellaneous code, and move $1,500 to our 422 code, which is our maintenance code. Now, this bill that you see that's attached is only $1,050. Remember, it doesn't include the parts. We're not sure they're going to bill us on what these parts were. And there were a few other parts that they had to replace to get Warrensburg's machine back up and running. The entire monitor went down on that. We sent up staff and to look at it. It ended up toward the end of the night. We actually couldn't get it back up and running. We had to use the emergency ballot, and Beth and I handle that when it comes back, so everybody's vote counts. But we ended up having that done, and now the machine's back up and running. Everything's good with it. I'll answer any questions that I can for you.
I think I'd like to get a motion on the floor. And this is going to, how does this work that it's retroactive? Amanda?
The money, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, the money is there. It's just a matter of transferring it from one code to another, and it is, like you said, it is retroactive.
Entering into the contract.
Right. Well, the contract,
Service is already done.
This was a one-time service. Now there will be a future contract that they have. This was a one-time service type deal that we did. It's finished, it's done. Any future service with this company that we may need will be done through the contract that we've supplied, Beth and I have supplied to the administrator, to the county attorney to review before we put it before our committee to sign it. So this was a one-time thing for this instance.
Okay, do I have a motion for this contract and the transfer of funds? Motion made by Supervisor Driscoll. Do I have a second, please? Anyone? Supervisor Wild, thank you very much. Discussion now, please.
Mr. Chairman, thanks. So I imagine we're going to have a future discussion about this contract at a future committee meeting.
I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I think our committee is going to have a future discussion about new machines.
That's where I was going.
Yes. So that's why we don't want to go under contract again with Dominion to sign a lengthy contract if we're going to have to in the future look at new machines, there's only two companies. Well, one isn't certified yet with the state. The only one that's certified with the state right now is Dominion. There is another company that's in for certification that they believe they will be certified by the end of November into December. We're not sure yet, but that's why we don't want to go into a long-term contract with this yet, and this would be just a one-year contract at a per-hour rate.
Bill, is the $300, is that a state contract rate?
I believe that, I have our state contract, I believe that's what Julie supplied me with the contract, and that's within a contract.
Okay.
It's state contract.
Further questions, discussions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And I just want quickly, I want to, Supervisor Wild had made a question to Mike Colvin about the antivirus. New York State Board of Elections has gotten quite a small grant from the state to fight against hacking antivirus. Mike is well aware of it. He's been working side by side with us. We can apply, this county has the ability to apply to get this antivirus put into place, not only for the Board of Elections, but if it's county-wide where our Board of Elections uses it, it could cover that as well. So he has been working on that.
And we are doing some extensive training ourselves through the state board to be aware of potential dangers in our databases. But as far as our voting machines, we've had this discussion before, they are a closed system. They're not connected to the internet. On election night, we get those cards back. They're read into that system. We use clean flash drives to transfer that information. IT helps us out tremendously. Rob Hosford sits with us on that night to help us out with that process. That's the only piece that's online, is those unofficial results on election night.
Our machines can't be hacked coming from the polling location to us. They can't get into them to hack them. Nowhere do they touch the internet. The first time it touches the internet is when we receive the numbers, we've recorded the numbers, then we supply it to Rob, who then puts it on the internet. So those, before that, it can't be touched.
Further questions or discussion for our Board of Elections? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions, discussion from anyone for the support committee? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn, please. Motion made by Mr. Wild, second, Supervisor Leggett. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Listen to music.